Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live stream. It's one that we hadn't planned, but I think there's been some pretty interesting developments at the Supreme Court this morning. And again, I've got Stan here from Voice of Wales. I've got Danny, an old friend from the Porthorpe channel. And remember, we've also got the Danny in Spain channel as well. It's Danny in Spain, isn't it?
Danny in Spain. That's it, mate.
Danny in Spain. Perfect. And Stan, have you frozen or have you had a stroke?
Is that better?
We can hear you all right, Stan, but we can't see you. You're jittering a bit.
You know what, mate? If you want, try and even knocking your camera off, Stan. We know you're good looking, but we might be better having you just without a camera, so we can see if we can get a better reception and there's not as much buffering. So maybe try that if you can. If you can't, we'll just crack on as we are. So, guys, obviously, we were told there'd be just to fill in everyone in what's happened this morning. The different lawyers from the different sides, obviously the government side and Tommy's side, gave evidence in court this morning. And then there was something rather unusual and dramatic happened. It appears that the prison cut off Tommy's phone when he was trying to talk to his lawyer. And from what I gather, the judge was none too pleased with that. And the judge then said he's going to give a ruling at 2:00. Now, I don't know what that ruling's on. I don't know whether it's a ruling that says there's a case that we need to go and investigate further and do a full judicial review, or whether he's going to give a full ruling on the review. So that's why we're doing the live stream, just in case something really, really spectacular happens. What's your understanding of what's happening at the minute, Danny? Have you been following it this morning, or?
I've been following it a little bit, mate. I've been out.
Danny daycare.
The little Danny's here. I've been following it a little bit, mate. I've been at a hospital appointment today with my arm. So I've been watching it as far as I could. Obviously, Noel's got a thing going on as well today, so there's quite a bit going on the 20th of March, isn't there? You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you heard anything from Noel at all about what's happening with
I've left him alone because I know it's a big day for him today. I spoke to him yesterday and said, look, good luck with it all. But the Tommy thing I've been following as much as I can. Obviously, in and out of hospital, I've been watching what I can. But yeah, I think Voice of Wales are doing a fair bit of, and I think Ezra's there as well, is he?
Ezra's there, Voice of Wales are there. I think some of the other guys are there. Dan Wotton's there. So there's a good squad of independent media. Stan, what have you heard from your guys in Voice of Wales? Have you been in touch with them this morning?
Yeah, I've noticed that there's about 5 or 6 things where the defence, and when I say defence, I mean the Home Office, have actually slipped up or made comment where the judges said, well, things like, he gets social interaction every day with the prison staff. And of course, the judge remarked, well, no, he doesn't, because they're paid. So there was that. There's the annoyance that the defence again tried to say that, he gets all these phone calls, and yet he can't even make a simple phone call to his solicitor. So there are 1 or 2 things that are going for Tommy, not least the fact that, of course, he's in a Category B prison, and he's, as the defence have admitted, he's no flight risk. So if he's no flight risk, tag him.
Yeah.
Tag him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Totally agree. I mean, one of the things I noticed was that there seems to be a is it a Home Office minister? Is it a prisons minister? Is it a justice minister? I don't think they named the minister involved, but your guys, Stan, put up that there'd been undertakings from the Home Office minister, I believe. I read this out earlier, I think, to keep him where he is. Am I right in saying that? Did I read that right?
Yes, you did. You absolutely did. Yeah.
So there's somebody in government that is saying that they want to keep him in the category prison that he's in, when they acknowledge that he is a civil prisoner, but they want to keep him actually in the conditions that he's basically in.
Yes, agreed. And also, if you think about it, they've not denied that he's a political prisoner. That came out in the plaintiff's case, and they didn't argue that he wasn't. So So therefore, is he being kept at Woodhull, knowing that it's a majority Muslim background of inmates there, and they've done that purposely? Because you know, as has been said, when he went to Winchester prison, he was allowed into the open community there.
The last time he served a bit of time, Rich, was in when he was in Woodhull. We got attacked there, didn't he?
He did. I think that was in 2014. He got his teeth kicked in. I mean, he got put in a room, some Muslim inmates, and I think there were 6 of them. And fair play to them. I mean, he gave an account of himself, and they kicked his teeth out. You know, so so he the fact that they put him in the same prison, that he's actually said on record that he's suffering PTSD.
Play with the mind, mate.
What happened in that prison. This is what Voice of Wales said online about the Secretary of State. It says reasons why have been given by the Secretary of State why there should not be a transfer, and this including Category C state. And if Cat C is considered segregation, will have to be continued. So that seems that the Secretary of State, I think Woodhull's a Category B, is Woodhull a Category C? Do we know?
B. No, it's B.
It's a B. Okay. So they're saying reasons why have been given by the Secretary of State why there should not be a transfer to a Category C prison. So somebody in government, a minister, they're not named in this case, but a minister has made the decision in a high security prison. If you're in the comments, let us know what you think about that, because to me that is just absolutely unbelievable that this is quite obviously a political decision, and he is a political prisoner.
Yeah.
And there's only, don't forget, there's only 2 really that can have done this: the Attorney General, who we already know is a terrorist hugging, sympathizing nutcase, and of course you've got the minister who is also of the persuasion that isn't Tommy's. So there's hardly any they come to this case with clean hands, is it?
Yeah, are we talking about Shabnat Mahmood there when we're talking about the other minister that might have some involvement in this? She certainly wouldn't think that she'd be a big fan of Tommy's. Put it that way, would you?
Well, she's more Sadiq Khan's than Tommy's.
Yeah.
Quite probably, yeah.
Well, if there's any justice, one day we'll see Sadiq Khan in solitary confinement and Tommy in government. That would be a day when the world is put the right side up, Stan. You know what I mean? But
any updates on it?
So I mean, really. Well, I'm just looking. I'm checking out a few feeds. I'm going to check out Ezra's here now as well. I checked out nothing from Voice of Wales. They're probably still having lunch now in Voice of Wales in the pub somewhere. But let's have a look. Stan, you meant to laugh at that, mate. Right, let's have a look. Okay, 55 seconds ago. Okay.
Rich, if you're on the London group on WhatsApp, you'll get the latest there.
Right, I don't think I'm on that one. To be honest with you, what I've got is I'm on Ezra Levant's. Okay. This is what Ezra says. So this was 6 minutes ago. Isn't that interesting that the one friend Tommy has in prison is a Muslim man, but the sadistic prison governor, Nicola Marfleet, forbids them to meet? Isn't that amazing? This is the guy that's meant to be the biggest Islamophobe, the biggest racist on the planet, and the one friend he has in prison is a Muslim. Very, very interesting. Okay, so this is what Ezra said three minutes ago. Both lawyers and the judge are talking about other prisoners in segregation, and they all assumed it's because they are convicted criminals who committed misconduct in prison and thus were being punished. And then he says, imagine Tommy being treated the same way. And 1 minute ago, Ezra said this: the judge refers to Tommy's friends who have social media platforms being banned from visiting him. The judge notes that having family substitute in those hours is impractical, given that Tommy's family is busy with school, work, etc. I'm glad the judge, now this is as relevant, I'm glad the judge knows that. Now that's, guys, that's a really interesting point that the judge is making there, because that could actually get the, not the ruling, this nonsense about so people with social media profiles not being allowed to visit Tommy. Remember, we were going to see him, Danny, and I got banned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally the day before. I don't know if you've had that, Stan, or any of your guys have had it, but we literally, the day before we were meant to go, our visit was pulled. And the thing is this, even putting all that aside about the family being busy, and, and I don't mean this in a weird way at all, but sometimes you can see enough of your family. Do you know what I mean? Even if you're in prison, you can be sort of with your family all the time. And it's sometimes better to have people from outside of that family circle that you come and interact with, have a laugh with, tell whatever off-color jokes you want to tell, and have a bit of crack. And I would imagine being in prison is the same as anyone. There's times you need to let your hair down. There's other times, you do that with your family. Sometimes you do it with your mates. So I think from that point of view, that's a very, very interesting thing that the judge has actually said there, because if that means that the that ruling or whatever it was that stopped us going in to see him is going to be overturned and declared illegal, I don't know. That means that visits could well be back on for all those lots. So let's hope.
Why should it be silenced?
Okay, the latest
anyway?
one.
Why should it be silenced anyway?
Well, it should never have happened.
Do you know what I mean? Civil prisoner.
This is.
We've complete. Anyway, as you say, carry on. You was just about to read another one from Ezra. I'll take it.
No, you're absolutely right, Danny. I mean, this is the thing. Under no circumstances should we have been banned. When I stood outside the prison and did a piece to camera, I didn't say anything controversial. I didn't say anything that would have compromised the security of the prison. I didn't say anything that would have compromised Tommy. All I spoke about was conversations that we had that were just about, trivial stuff. It was just about how he was, how his mental state was.
But this is part of the overreach that Governor Marfleet has imposed on this, because, of course, access to a solicitor is 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's not. It's not. Oh, you can ring him during your lunch break, or you can ring him at this time. It's supposed to be 24/7, because you need to. You might have something in your head, and you think, "Oh, right, I need to speak to the solicitor about it," or you might see something, or somebody might do something. You can't book an appointment for your solicitor in that kind of regime.
Yeah.
No. Well, let's just read what the judges, but what else the judge has been saying here. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, there's a lot of new stuff just bouncing through here. So let's just see what we've got here. So, Williamson, that's obviously the judge, emphasized that Tommy has more rights than other prisoners since he's a civil prisoner, not a criminal. In other words, Williamson is trying to show how in every respect Tommy's treatment is worse than other comparators. Sorry, Williamson's his brief, isn't it? Williamson, I think, is Tommy's brief. Is that right? Am I right on that one? I think I am. Yeah, I am. I think Williamson's. And then Williamson refers to the case of a woman who was in segregation for a long time, but she was exceptionally dangerous to other prisoners. The opposite of Tommy is the case where he's the one at risk. He's not the danger. The people that are on the wing, in other words, any jihadis or Muslim fanatics that are on the wing, they're the ones that are dangerous to Tommy, not Tommy to them. And it's very interesting that Tommy's the only person that Tommy wants to meet is a Muslim friend of his that he's obviously known from before he went to prison. Williamson then goes on, the punishment to which he's been subjected when he's a civil prisoner who serves no risk, there should be a better way, a more humane way to manage his incarceration. There must be a better way. So that's what William said. That's William's conclusion. Okay. And I mean, I think that's I think all of those points are completely, just under common law and under natural justice. Surely to goodness, if you were a judge and the lawyer was laying down,
they've used that word though again, Richard, haven't they? They've used the word incarceration, whereas I would have been saying he's a civil prisoner. Surely he's now been locked up in solitary. He's time served. Put him on a tag. Let him go back in the so that his mental health is better managed.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you think, Danny? I mean, the reality is he shouldn't be in those conditions. You know,
Not
he
at all. He
just
shouldn't be in that prison, Rich. He shouldn't be
no.
in that prison. It's a civil
And it's not a
offence.
nice. It's not a nice prison. I mean, no prison's nice, obviously, but it's like you know, it reminds me, you know, back in the Troubles in Northern Ireland. You know, when I was in the military, we used to guard the prisons, and we guarded the Crumlin Road, we guarded the Maze. Reminds me very much of the Maze prison. It's very high security. You know, it's and just going through that system is a very oppressive thing, just as a visitor. So him being locked up in there for making a film. Let's get it right, for making a film. And obviously, that film is now the most viewed documentary probably on the planet, and will be probably the most viewed documentary in history. But
I think it's about 65 million views now, Rich.
What, 165 million?
165 million views.
Well, Panorama doesn't get that, does it?
Well, bear in mind also, that's views, right? So normally you have a couple of people sometimes watching it. There could be 300 million people seeing that.
It could be. Absolutely. I mean, it's
Look,
just,
as I say,
absolutely.
I was there when he was originally put away, and the judge did turn around and say, we can reduce your sentence if you're prepared to remove that video, which immediately, in true Tommy style, he said, no way.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that was it. And had you removed it, Elon would have never have promoted it, and it would never have gone, you know, metabolic like it's gone now.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, guys, look, I think we haven't got a ruling, but this is from the judge. So we've got something from the judge now. Okay. So this is from Ezra's feed. The judge says he needs to reflect on the submissions overnight. I'm always worried when judges say that, but anyway, so he won't release his ruling today as he'd originally planned. You just wonder how much. I'm not even going to say it, but you know what I'm thinking, guys, don't you? You know. What happens? Yeah, that's all you got to say. You know, what goes on there, you know, behind closed doors. I don't know. None of us know, but you know, we do know that we live in a two-tier country for sure.
I think we've got to postpone.
Although having said that, the last time that this happened, I remember all the BBC, Sky, Guardian, all that crowd were in for day one. But day two, they all knew that the end was nigh, so none of them turned up, and of course Tommy won. That's
right. That was the last case, wasn't it? That was the one where we went, just me and Tommy and a cameraman went to a rally against anti-Semitism, and obviously Tommy is, as we all know, is a proud Zionist and a supporter of Israel, and got a lot of Jewish friends, and he was promptly arrested for causing alarm and distress to the Jewish people that he was going there to stand with an interview. So, you know, is it any wonder that case collapsed? I'm just going to read what Ezra said at the end of his piece there about the judge and the ruling. He says this is about the ruling, the judge having to consider this and reflect on it overnight. Ezra says this is obviously the fault of the sadistic prison governor, Nicola Marfleet, and her fiasco with cutting off the phone call. I mean, that's why this was adjourned, because Tommy was actually on the phone to his brief, and they managed to cut him off while the judge was trying to get Tommy to have a discussion with his solicitor, with his barrister, which is just, it is like a banana republic. This is like something you'd expect in El Salvador in the 1980s or Guatemala, not in Britain in the
and actually, Richard, this is the reason why every single court case should be in person. I've never liked this video link nonsense.
I agree.
The police do it all the time. You can hardly hear the prisoner. You certainly can't see his expressions, and it's very limited to what you see. Whereas if you've got a police officer in the dock, you can see him wince, you can see him grasp, the Bible or the desk, and you know he's lying. But from a video appearance, you can't. And of course, exactly as what has been said, it's like a banana republic with Tommy.
Oh, totally, it is. I mean, you know, people talk about two-tier policing and two-tier justice. There's actually three-tier, because there's the tier for all the people that aren't on our political side, let's say, Stan. And then there's the tier for us, which is, you know, you say anything about the preferred demographic, and the police and the judiciary take exception to it, and Keir Starmer takes exception to it, and you're doing 2 years in prison. And then there's Tommy's law, which is basically lock him up for making a film, throw away the key, and leave him to rot in solitary confinement for 18 months. And that's, I mean, it's outrageous. It's absolute, and the fact that this should be getting shouted from the rafters. If this was happening in Russia, if a political dissident had been arrested in Russia and Putin had put him in prison for making a film that was, anti-Putin, the BBC, Sky News, The Guardian, probably The Telegraph and the Daily Mail will be up in arms. Tommy Robinson, nobody cares. Plain and simple.
There's also been no flipping it, Rich. There's been no real media about the other case that Noel's doing today. There's no real media about it, and that could be potentially huge.
Massive. And we'll talk about that in a minute, I think, Danny, because you know a lot about that. So we'll get you to maybe do a bit of a piece on that. Just going to read just the updates from Ezra, because there's a few updates come through there while we're chatting. So Ezra's saying this. This is from the judge. The decision will be handed down electronically, e.g. sent out to counsel, as opposed to being read out from the bench. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I would be suspect, but who knows? We're not sure. And then Ezra goes on, in this regard, this judge is different from the judge who sentenced Tommy. That judge 150 or so days ago literally had the sentence pre-written on his computer. That's incredible, isn't it? That the judge had it pre-written before it even happened. And he read it out less than 60 seconds after the lawyers were done. Yeah. Now, what Ezra goes on to say is this judge is actually going to think about it. And I think that's really good news. And Ezra signs off on that saying,
to be fair, Rich, I was sitting next to Ezra in the courtroom for the trial. Yeah. And that's exactly what happened. Within a few seconds, it was being read out. So that was all pre-typed. He weren't typing it during the trial. So the decision was made prior to the trial, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, look, this is all good stuff. I mean, Ezra's saying he's optimistic. So, and Ezra's got a lot of experience in dealing with the law in Canada, and the law in Canada is just about as two-tier as it is in the UK. So Ezra's had plenty of experience at dealing with these people, and he signs off on this. He says the judge concludes and leaves the court. The lawyers pack up and take off their wigs. How British is that? And he says, Ezra finishes, I'm not going to stay in London. I have a 6 p.m. flight to catch out of Heathrow, but I'll stay in touch with the lawyers and we'll try and arrange that as soon as they receive the ruling from the judge. They share it with me and I can tweet it from back in Canada. So that's it. It's a few more bits
this
and pieces
space then, Rich, isn't it? Watch this space.
And he says he's going to film one more short video. I'm not sure if he's done that yet. So let's just see what's happening on his media. And if if Ezra's done a video yet, we'll stick it up on the screen, but I don't think he's done it yet. So, guys, I think that's very. I don't know. I don't want to get overexcited. I've got a good feeling about what's happening. I think there's some good stuff there, and I think it's really exposed that this is a political decision. And we've got, I mean, we've got nearly 4,000 people watching.
I don't think that the defendants have made their case, Richard, and that's the great thing about this. It isn't set, it isn't set. And I agree with Ezra that if the judge is having to think about it overnight, the question is, if it goes against the defendants, will Tommy ever get the message?
It's true.
Well, I mean, I think they have to. I know. I mean, well, the thing is, I mean, what does it mean? I mean, this is the question we've got to ask. If the judge rules that what has been done is, I don't know what the parameters are of what this judicial review is. Is it that this is cruel and unusual punishment? Is it it's damaging to Tommy's mental health? Is it the fact it's illegal because he's a civil prisoner? What happens if the judge, comes tomorrow and says, like, that's it, this is wrong, Tommy's been treated unjustly? Does Tommy get released on a tag? Does he get sent to a Cat D prison? What happens next? I mean, that's the question that we've got to ask, and I suppose we'll find out more as this progresses.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the soap opera that is our movement always has lots of twists and turns and bends in the road. And man, you know, someday I'm going to write a book about all this, I think. But yeah. So Danny, tell us about Noel, and what I'll do if Ezra puts a video out, we'll finish on Ezra's video. But tell us about Noel, and then if Ezra hasn't got a video out in the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes, we'll probably just close this off. We've done about half an hour. So
just basically, Noel has found a small, well, what he considers. I mean, I don't know how much we can say because obviously it's going on at the moment.
Okay.
Is that tricky at the moment? Don't want to.
It could be, Danny. Well, okay. Let's just talk in broad terms without saying what the case is about. Just let's talk about, and we're not mentioning Noel's full name. Just generally.
Yeah. So there's a trial gone.
Okay. Who's it going to upset? That's probably the best thing we can say, Danny. Who's it going to upset?
It's against TfL, Transport for London, and Sadiq Khan.
Yeah.
That's who the situation is aimed at, and it's a long ongoing thing. Noel's been working tirelessly on it, and it's in court today. So again, I think I don't want to jeopardise anything, so I don't know whether we should say much more at this time. Probably in the next, maybe tomorrow as well. I don't think that will be tied up in one day. I really don't.
Yeah.
As I understand it, Mr. Khan has been asked to appear in court, so he's got to be there to take the stand. Whether he'll go or send a representative, who knows, Sir Khan. So that, I think, again, Rich, we've got pretty much 24 hours going to tell a big story, I think. But that could be massive.
No, I think you're right, and I think, you know, from the point of view, it doesn't look like Ezra's done a video yet, so I think we'll call it a day there. Everyone that's watched, thanks for coming on and watching. I know I haven't done the comments. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't read them. So I do apologise for that. But we just wanted to get on and keep you live, up to date with what's going on in the court. So I think, just in case, because if Tommy had come walking out of those gates, we would have been wanting to be able to, you know, trumpet that to you guys and let everybody know that the Free Tommy Robinson campaign has succeeded yet again, and we've got him out, and we've got him back with his family, we've got him back with his friends, and you know that would, I think it's gonna. I'm not even going to say it, but I'm like Ezra. I'm optimistic. Fingers and toes and everything else crossed. You know what I mean? But well, guys, listen. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for watching. We're going to end it there. If there's any updates, obviously tomorrow when we find out what's happening, as soon as we know, we'll probably jump on and do another live.
Thank you.
We'll probably get our other colleagues on tomorrow that normally appear in the streams. You know, a couple of them are busy today, so we'll see if we can get Dan and Stan and Paul and Danny. Can we get 5 on? Can we get 5 in a room? I'm not sure.
Not sure, mate, to be fair.
We'll try it. We'll see what we can do. We can drop in and out, can't we? So, and 3,600 people watching. 3,600 people watching. Great stuff. Well, guys, okay, see you all soon. We'll end the stream there, and let's cross everything and hope Tommy's get some really good news tomorrow. See you all soon.